another family and urge you to please approve our request and not further prolong us rebuilding our home and our lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Rob Ramirez.
Hi, my name is Rob Ramirez. I live at 7110 Para. You guys just heard my wife. I'm sure you guys may have seen me on your Facebook. I've not been too happy with you guys. I've been a court-appointed special advocate. I don't know if you guys know what that is. I've grown up in the foster system, in captivity with a chain around my ankle. I've been beaten. I go through multiple surgeries now trying to fix this. And now that I'm trying to fix this, this happens to my house. And I teach kids about character, morals, and ethics. I got a 3-letter statement from you. Nothing. No why, no nothing. And I've worked in government all my life, and I know what it is. It's tuck tail and run, deny, 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 until it happens. And what are we teaching our kids if we as adults don't hold up to these moral and ethical standards of being strong characteristics? I don't have a family, my wife does. But looking at somebody sitting there crying in your bedroom saying, why isn't anybody helping in our local government? And the only thing I can say, and I don't want to say it, is look at the disappointment that I've been through all my life with anything in the system. Anything in the system. And I sit here watching my wife cry, bawl her eyes out. My only family member I have. The only person that treats me somewhat decent in this life. And nobody called me. And you guys wonder why I lashed out? Nobody called to see how we were doing. We're in a mental health pandemic. We're in a coronavirus. People are out there committing suicides. Where is our local government to help us out? That's all I have to say. I'm just looking for some sense of decency. And yeah, I'm going to be angry because I've dealt with nothing but pain from the system. Nothing but pain. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Darren Jackson, followed by Jared Stewart.
Good morning, Mayor. Good morning, Mayor Lawson and members of the council. My name is Darren Jackson, and I'm the president of the Sparks Firefighters Local 1265. I'm a veteran, and I've been serving my community and country for more than 26 years. I'm here today representing the more than 60 firefighters working on the line of the Sparks Fire Department. When I was hired more than 20 years ago, the Sparks Fire Department was well-staffed, funded, and trained. In 2007, we had nearly 100 firefighters, and we trained for hundreds of hours every year. Since then, the population of Sparks has almost doubled, yet the fire department has shrunk by more than 25%. We're no longer respected by other departments. I'm extremely worried about the safety of our citizens of Sparks and for my sisters and brothers in the fire department. Our call volume has almost tripled since 1998. The national standard for fire response dictates that we can be anywhere in the city within 4 to 6 minutes. But the city has grown so much in the last 15 years that many parts of Sparks are outside that 6-minute window. In fact, we struggle to reach parts of the city in 12 to 15 minutes, which, in the case of a critical medical call, drastically decreases a person's chance for recovery and survival. Plainly, we don't have enough firefighters or stations to respond to our calls effectively. Last year, we had more than 11,000 forced overtime hours, and many of our firefighters are working 80-plus hours a week. We're in danger of browning out stations. While I appreciate you all taking my meetings over the last several months, we still haven't done anything to address this, so I'm here today to plead a little louder. For 15 years, the council has been talking about the need for Station 6. At this point, we need at least 2 more stations on top of that, and yet we haven't even begun to move forward on Station 6. We have to take action immediately. All of us are ready and willing to work with you to get this job done, but it starts with leadership, and unfortunately, we haven't seen any leadership at the fire department in a long time, which is also why I submit to you today that recently the Sparks firefighters took a vote of no confidence on the Sparks fire chief. Nearly 85% of the firefighters voted in support of it, with 10% abstaining. I have provided this declaration, which outlines some of the many reasons why we have no faith that the chief can lead us moving forward. This must be remedied and addressed immediately. I commit to you that I will be back at every council meeting to report and update on the situation until these issues are fixed. Until then, I hope we can continue meeting and get to work quickly fixing these issues. This isn't about politics or budgets or money. This is about people, and we've got to protect our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Jared Stewart, followed by Mike Hackler.
Good afternoon, Council. Jared Stewart, Vice President, Local 1265 for the record. I am here to speak to you today about our most important mission at the fire department. Our most important mission is life safety. As many of you have heard, we've had a few incidents as of late which highlight the problem with our mission. Our mission statement even states the Sparks Fire Department will strive to provide the highest level of prevention, suppression, rescue, emergency medical care, and related services to the citizens, businesses, and visitors of the city of Sparks. Just a few weeks ago, as you were all informed, a member of the Toscana living community went into cardiac arrest in the early morning hours. We had a response time that exceeded 6 minutes. This response time exceeding 6 minutes was during the optimum times of a response. There was nobody on the roads at the middle of the morning. We could have had a chance to give them a better treatment should we have had a better response time. Furthermore, our members attempted to resuscitate this citizen for over 25 minutes. When they were on a physician trying to get direction to terminate resuscitation efforts, Story County ambulance walked into the room because that was the closest ambulance to this citizen. With our current fire staffing model, even a single fire could mean that your citizens don't get any medical treatment. We are paramedics as well as the ambulance, but without us there to supplement the ambulance, it doesn't matter. We don't meet national standards for NFPA, our industrial standards, on any level of call outside of residential fires. Secondly, you may have heard we just had a victim of a fire in District 3 who we responded to in the late hours of the morning. This person, we didn't know if anybody was in there or not. We had reports that there were dogs inside as well as, which we could hear, and that an elderly couple lived in there. We decided to make entry against OSHA law because we had to make a decision that if we went inside, we could possibly save somebody's life. We did that with disregard for our safety because we care about the citizens' lives. In doing so, we found a person inside unresponsive who we then drug out, treated, and to my knowledge is currently alive because of our actions that day. If we had more staffing every day, we would have had the ability to go in there and help this person with due regard for our safety as firefighters. We don't just care about the lives of the citizens, we also care about our brothers and sisters in this business. We respectfully ask you to take consideration of that when you make your decisions regarding the fire department. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Hackler.
Hello, my name is Mike Hackler. I'm a firefighter paramedic with Sparks Fire. I've been here for almost 5 years. I came from another department where I had 10 years of experience. At that other department, I was well respected. I had great evaluations, and I continue to be a well-respected member of this department. Since being hired, I have yet to see a full roster of firefighters in our positions. I was hired as a group of 5 when we needed 7. Those 2 positions that were not hired with my class 5 years ago have still not been filled. I've been promised and told many, many days since I've been here for the 5 years that we'd be moving towards another station. That was kind of one of the things I wanted to get while we were coming to this department. It still has not happened. I've watched our fire chief form committees trying to get members of our department to help progress this place into a better direction, only to look at those recommendations and turn it the other cheek and say, no, 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 I'm gonna make my own decisions. We have no leadership at our fire department. Over the last 5 years, I've watched it go from a place that I left to try and join because I thought that it was the pinnacle of fire service in this area, to being embarrassed of where I work. I have personally been told by our fire chief that I needed to make some moral sacrifices, that I needed to change some things on my evaluations because it didn't go with what the city wanted. These kinds of actions don't come from a leader. I really, really would like you guys to take a good look at this vote of no confidence. It doesn't come lightly from any of us as the firemen. We don't want to say that we don't have confidence in our fire chief. This is not a personal attack on anybody. This is your employees trying to do the best thing for the public that we serve. None of us would be here if we didn't enjoy helping people. But we need the tools to do that. And our fire chief is not helping in giving us those tools. So we're asking you guys as city council to give us the tools that we need. We need new leadership. We need to move in a better direction. We need to increase our staffing. We need to increase the number of stations that we have. This isn't about money. This isn't about personal vendettas. This is about keeping the citizens safe. I just ask that you guys keep that in mind as you go forward. My name is Mike Hackler. I'm a firefighter here at Sparks, and I have no confidence in our fire chief.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? Come on up, sir. State your name for the record, please.
Will do, Ed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the record, Mike Pilcher, President of the Northern Nevada Central Labor Council. Local 65 is one of our affiliates, and I see another affiliate, at least one more in the room. Members of the council, good afternoon as well. About more than half of my members, 9,000 to 10,000 members, reside in Sparks, and response times are important to them. It's important to their families, it's important to their small businesses, to their communities. I see a desperate plea that I'm familiar with. Some of you may know that I spent 32 years in public safety in the sister city next door. I've seen different dynamics, whether it's a strong council or strong mayor or a strong city manager. Nevertheless, I think we work through those to provide the best services to the citizens. I can tell you this unequivocally, fire engines don't fight fire and they don't save lives. Neither do ambulances, neither do hook and ladder trucks or wildland apparatus. Manpower does. And you really need the manpower to accomplish the critical tasks at hand, whether it's a residential structure fire with primary attack, backup attack, exposure protection, topside ventilation, horizontal, vertical, primary search, secondary search, water supply, incident command, safety. Those are manpower intensive functions and has to work together as a team. They have to know each other's skills and there has to be a robust response. So on behalf of my 10,000 members, I would hope you would address this and prioritize in your budget the importance of public safety from a fire prevention and suppression position. So all hazards is not cheap. It's like the military. You know, our tanks are our fire engines, and we don't shoot bullets, we shoot IVs and water. But the cost is the same when you're dealing with Nomex and Kevlar and carbon fiber and constant training in CEUs. So I'd keep that in mind as you assess your budget priorities during the next, at least biennium. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to the dais, and we'll move on for, looking for approval of the agenda. Thank you guys for coming. You don't have to stick around for the rest of the meeting. Okay, Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay, Mr. Abbott.
Second?
They got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. We'll start with Mr. Anderson on the phone.
Aye.
Ms. Bybee?
Aye.
Mr. Dare?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's move on to minutes. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the minutes of the Sparks City Council meeting and workshop for February 28th, 2022 as presented.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Bybee.
Aye.
Mr. Dare.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Moving on to 7.1, presentation by Northern Nevada Hope's Healthcare Clinic on East 4th Street. And I see Ms. Chamberlain here, et al. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for allowing us to be here today, Mayor and council members. I am Sharon Chamberlain, the CEO of Northern Nevada Hopes, and we have a short presentation for you. Let me see if I can get this going. So we have an exciting opportunity that we want to discuss with you today, and it is about an East 4th Street clinic build. I'm going to give you a little bit of background about Northern Nevada Hopes. We are a community health center that provides integrated medical and support services to individuals regardless of their ability to pay. We have a whole team of individuals that work with folks, including medical and behavioral health providers, case managers, pharmacists, peer support specialists, community health workers. And we work to serve the medically underserved populations, in particular those experiencing homelessness, people suffering from mental illness, and those living in poverty. We do this through our mission, which is to provide affordable, high-quality medical, behavioral health, and support services for all. These are our 2021 numbers. 55% of patients were living below 200% of the federal poverty level. Almost 40% were living at 138% or below federal poverty level, which is about $14,000 for an individual. 15% of our patients are experiencing homelessness. And we experienced 11% growth even in the COVID pandemic this last year, and we have over 12,000 patients now. We had over 74,000 visits, and we're projecting more growth for our patient visits for this next year, getting us up to about 13,500 individuals. So you might ask, why Hopes for this new East 4th Street clinic? And it might come as a surprise to you, but we are celebrating our 25th anniversary this year. So we've been around for 25 years. We're very excited for that anniversary. And we know that we're very uniquely positioned to undertake this project because we know this population so well. There's a very urgent need. We've grown from 600 patients to over 12,000 patients, and we turn away 40 to 60 individuals every single day that are trying to establish care with Hopes. Of those over 12,000 patients, 24% of them come from Sparks. So this new location for the clinic is on between 89512 and 89431. These are very disenfranchised areas where many people experiencing poverty and homelessness are moving since some of the gentrification began in downtown Reno. In addition, we had purchased a lot right across the street from Hope Springs, our tiny home village. And we purchased this, and we're thrilled to share that Washoe County gave us a lot that's right next to the purchase lot that we have. So we now have 2 lots that are right alongside each other, directly across from our tiny home village, Hope Springs, which works with chronically homeless individuals to move them to permanent housing, and then backs right up to the CARES campus, which is the new homeless shelter. The building itself is going to be a 2-story building. We'll have the ability to serve an additional 12,000 plus patients. It's 43,000 square feet. If you've ever been inside Northern Nevada Hopes on West 5th Street, that's about 38,000 square feet. So that gives you a little bit of context there. And one of the things that we're excited about is that we're going to be able to expand behavioral health continuum in our community to include intensive outpatient programming. Intensive outpatient programming is almost non-existent for people on Medicaid, Medicare, and the underinsured individuals in our community, or the non-insured individuals. This program works with people 3 hours a day, 3 to 5 days a week. And it's really a step down from hospitalization, and it's a step up from the weekly therapy appointments that some people need. So we'll keep people out of our hospitals, our emergency rooms, and our jails. Here's just the layout for the first and second floor. On the first floor, there's large behavioral health rooms for our intensive outpatient programming. There's a total of 46 exam rooms in the building. Also on the first floor is going to be a unique way that we're going to offer care. It's going to be an immediate care clinic. And we know that that's important because we'll be serving so many of the folks experiencing homelessness at the CARES campus and then in the surrounding areas. So they'll be able to come in without an appointment and just be able to see a provider right then. Upstairs, we'll have more traditional primary care services for adults, as well as behavioral health, substance use treatment, and psychiatry. We also have a pharmacy on the first floor. Forgot about that, which is very important for, it's really a one-stop shop, right? It's the ability for people to come to one building and be able to receive all the services that they need without having to go to multiple different places, which is important for the low-income population that maybe doesn't have transportation and our folks experiencing homelessness. Here's just some renderings of the first floor care team interior. Again, we have very comprehensive way that we provide care. So if somebody comes in for their diabetes, but they're actually hungry and they need food or they need transportation or they need assistance with housing, we have a case manager that can go right in. If they're a victim of domestic violence, we have a behavioral health therapist that can walk in right there during their appointment and take care of all of those challenges. This is a look at our lab area. So we'll have a lab on site as well as the first floor reception area. And then this is second floor, the care team area where all those individuals sit. So we're excited because the time for this project is right now. We're seeing more and more individuals needing care. We're turning away more and more people every day. One of the things that's neat about this project is that we are utilizing some American Rescue Plan funds that we received to open up a temporary clinic called the Bell Street Clinic because it's located on Bell Street across from our West 5th entity. And we'll be able to provide training and onboarding of necessary staff and build our organizational capacity as we prepare for the increased services at the East 4th Street Clinic. So the rising healthcare costs, the inability for many people to obtain affordable insurance, and the COVID crisis has led to just additional growing healthcare crisis. We know that our hospitals are bursting at the seams, and a community health clinic like Hope's is a proven resource to support and address these challenges in the community. This is the investment for this new 43,000? Now I've forgotten, 43,000 square foot building. Our total investment is around $31 million, and that includes $1.5 million in equipment and furnishings, the tables, the lab equipment, all of those kinds of things, stuff for the pharmacy, and about almost $30 million for the architecture, building, and landscaping, and capital campaign costs are $150,000. This does include a $1.5 million contingency. We have a multi-pronged funding approach, and we also have long-term sustainability. So I'm going to have an ask for you in a minute, but one thing that I want you to recognize or at least know or be aware is that the East 4th Street Clinic will be in the black starting year 1. So it's self-supporting once we get the clinic doors actually open and start seeing our patients. We receive an enhanced reimbursement from Medicaid, and that's what makes this possible, these kinds of clinics possible. And we anticipate a much higher number of Medicaid enrollees being next to the CARES campus. For funding for the actual project, we're working on new market tax credits. We were very successful with both state and federal new market tax credits for funding our West 5th Street Clinic. We're also looking at government relationships. So we've talked to the state, the county, and the city of Reno, and we're here with you today. And then, of course, traditional philanthropy, individuals, foundations, and corporations. We have a great capital campaign leadership. Dr. Trudy Larson is our honorary chair. She's a founder of Northern Nevada Hopes over 25 years ago and now serves on the board of directors. Our legacy ambassador is Stacy Mathewson, who assisted with the Stacy Mathewson Wellness Center, which is our clinic on West 5th Street. And then we have great committee members, and we would love to add your name to our list of ambassadors if you have interest. Just let me know. Here's a timeline. I won't go into all of this real in detail, but you can look at it. Right now, we're in the quiet phase of the capital campaign, and this is when we want to raise about 80% of our total campaign goal. So we'll be in that phase until until March of 2023, and we'll have already raised 80%, and we'll go for public to raise the remaining 20% of the capital campaign goal, which will be about $4 million. So our capital campaign goal is about $20 million. We hope to open the clinic in late summer of 2023, so it's right around the corner. So we have a request for partnership for the city of Sparks. We would like to request a significant monetary investment in the East 4th Street Clinic build. And we are respectfully requesting $1 million to be used for the construction of the project. One of the things that's remarkable about investing in community health centers is that if you invest in a health center in Nevada, it yields returns over 5 times the investment. And every $1 in federal investments into Northern Nevada Hopes generates $5.34 in economic activity. So therefore, a $1 million investment from the city of Sparks would equate to a $5.3 million return. Do we have any questions?
Questions from the council? Just, anyone on the phone have questions?
This is Christopher, and I want to say we've looked at a lot of this, and can you talk a little bit about how, I know there was REMSA and different things, having a campus there would help so much with some of our need that happens with some of our REMSA having to be there so much. Would you mind speaking to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely, Councilman.
Christopher.
Christopher, okay, sorry. Oh, I thought he was correcting me and telling me to call him Christopher. I was like, that's really weird. I was like, yes, sir. Go ahead and answer the question,
Please.
even though you went off.
It'll be on
Okay.
the record. He can read it.
So we recognize that there are a lot of REMSA calls, sometimes up to 30 a day, to the CARES campus for instances that do not actually need REMSA. And so there's a lot of resources going into that. By having the clinic right there next to the CARES campus and having the immediate care on the downstairs floor, we expect those calls to drop dramatically. In addition, we anticipate working very closely with the CARES campus to ensure that people have the case management and other types of services that they need, not just the medical care, but psychiatric and substance use treatment, et cetera, for the residents at the CARES campus. In the meantime, we're looking at doing something over there temporarily and being on the campus. While we build the new clinic in order to help reduce those calls for REMSA.
I know this technology is confusing, so bear with us.
It's okay.
Paul or Charlene, do you have anything?
do not. I just want to
No,
say
thank you.
thanks for working on this project.
Donald or Diane, you good? Well, you know what's the most exciting thing about, for me, is you guys are self-sustaining. And we need more mental health. We've known this for a long time. We haven't been able to do anything about it. And being right there where the CARES campus is, depending on who you believe, 75 to 90% of those folks have mental illness issues. And the drugs and the alcohol are a byproduct of that. So I think having you right across the street, I agree, is going to save a ton of money, plus the fact you're self-sustaining. So I want to ask the city manager, we do need to bring this back for a vote of the council. We're not stylized to vote today. But is that, am I correct in saying that?
You are absolutely correct in saying that, and our plan is to have this considered as part of allocating the remainder of our American Rescue Plan Act funds. The staff is currently assembling a list right now, and we have that ask on our list. So I am excited to bring that back next month and move this forward.
Thank you very much. So it just makes sense to me. It's kind of a no-brainer. There's some things in government that are hard decisions. This one is pretty easy decision. So I appreciate what you guys do and what you've done for our community.
Thank you, and we appreciate all of you and how responsive you've all been in our conversations, and we appreciate what you do here in Sparks a lot, so thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you guys for coming. Okay, let's move on to consent items. Anyone wishing to pull a consent item? If not, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to approve consent items 8.1 and 8.2 as submitted.
Mr. Abbott, or Ms. Bybee, sorry. Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, she was touching it over there.
You switched up on me. Then it occurred to me, how the heck does Charlene push the button? Mr. Abbott.
I'll second that.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Bybee.
Aye.
Mr. Dare.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Let's move on to general business, item 9.1. Consideration, discussion, and possible approval of the first amendment to the joint funding agreement, AC 5589, between the state of Nevada, Truckee Meadows Water Authority, Washoe County, City of Sparks, City of Reno, and City of Fernley for funding Nevada's share of the Truckee River Operating Agreement, or the TROA agreement, for federal fiscal years 23, 24, 25, and the annual share for Sparks estimated at $64,000, $68,000, and $72,000 respectively. Whew. There we go.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson and members of council. For the record, Kevin Porter, Utility Manager. And the item before you today is an amendment to an existing joint funding agreement, as you just read, Mayor Lawson, for the joint funding of TROA, which is the Truckee River Operating Agreement. TROA was signed in 2008 and has been implemented since 2015. And in 2019, City Council signed the agreement that was referenced in the title, the Joint Funding Agreement. What that agreement memorializes or speaks to is the apportionment for the Nevada share of funding the administration cost of TROA. TROA is administered by the federal water master, and the Nevada share of funding the federal water master's budget or the TROA administration cost is 40% of the total cost. Of that 40%, the joint funding agreement speaks to the apportionment across the 5 Nevada parties. Those parties are the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, Washoe County, and the cities of Sparks, Reno, and Fernley. TUMWA, or Truckee Meadows Water Authority, pays 60% of the Nevada share, and then the remaining members, including Sparks, pays 10%. And the federal water master submitted their budget or their estimated budget for the next 2 years, fiscal years 23 and 24, and then staff has estimated what their budget would be in the 5th year in fiscal year 25. Some of the things that the federal water master does in terms of administrating the overall agreement is essentially the overall operation of the Truckee River as a river system, including the operation of Tahoe, the dam, the water that can be released out of Tahoe, all the way down through the river system, all the reservoirs on the way, Donner, Stampede, Independence, Boca, ultimately managing the water and the water rights on the river all the way out to Pyramid Lake. In doing so, they incur significant costs on modeling, hardware, software to be able to understand that very complex river system that the Truckee River is. The first 3 years of administration, the federal water master kept their budget at $60,000 a year for the Spark share. That's what we paid for the first 3 years of that agreement. And with today's current inflation and also some costs that were delayed or put off by the federal water master, that's reflective of what the budget amounts will be increasing over the next 3 years, fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. So as was in the title, the estimated cost in fiscal year 23, $64,000, 24 would be $68,000, and then $72,000 in that fiscal year 25 in the third year. Staff recommends approval of this item, and with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Questions from the council? Anybody on the phone have questions?
No.
Okay. We'll see none. I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve the First Amendment to the Joint Funding Agreement AC-5589 between the State of Nevada, Truckee Meadows Water Authority, Washoe County, City of Sparks, City of Reno, and the City of Fernley for funding Nevada's share of the Truckee River Operating Agreement for federal fiscal years 2023, 2024, and 2025, with the annual Sparks share estimated at $64,000, $68,000, and $72,000 respectively.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Kevin likes to write those long explanations.
Apologize for that.
That's okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Bybee.
Aye.
Mr. Dare.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Thanks, Kevin.
There.
Consideration, discussion, of possible approval of agreement AC 5834 between the City of Reno, City of Sparks, and Jacobs Engineering Group for construction management services for the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility Effluent Pump Station Improvements Project in the amount of $675,899, with the City of Sparks share being $212,029.52. Don't forget the 52 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sir
Members,
Drinkwater.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members of Council, Michael Drinkwater, your treatment plant manager, before you today with seeking your approval of this agreement. If it looks a little bit familiar to you, that's because I originally presented this to you at our February 28th meeting. Regrettably, I mistitled the staff report as a reimbursement to Reno, which, because there is an actual agreement to which Sparks would be signatory, we needed to bring it back before you today to get your approval, recognizing that it is in fact an agreement we would be entering into. The underlying work has not changed. The underlying fee has not changed. This is for construction management services in support of the rehabilitation of the effluent pump station at Tumwharf. You did approve the construction portion of this at the February 14th meeting as well. I'm happy to, with my apologies for this error, happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to approve an agreement AC-5834 between the City of Reno, City of Sparks, and Jacobs Engineering Group Incorporated for construction management services for the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility Affluent Pump Station Improvements Project in the amount of $675,899, and the City of Sparks share being $212,029.52. I apologize. It's a lot of numbers.
Mr. Abbott.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Bybee.
Aye.
Mr. Dare.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Michael. All right, 9.3, consideration, discussion, of possible approval of a construction contract, AC 5833, in the amount of $268,007 with Sierra Nevada Construction for the 2022 Preventative Maintenance Patch Project bid number, a lot of numbers, I'm not going to read them all
How do you get away with that?
because I'm the one reading.
He's upset because he has to read.
Yeah, I gotta read this one, so.
You're going to get to the numbers on the motion, so
Cool.
thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Lawson, members of council, Amber Sosa, Transportation Manager. As stated, this is a construction contract for your consideration with Sierra Nevada Construction for our 2022 preventative maintenance patching project. This project comes from the city's preventative maintenance program, and it really seeks to use preventative maintenance activities to hopefully extend the life expectancy of the roadway surface. The map that's shown on your screen is the area proposed in this contract. To direct you towards the right hand of your screen, you'll see South Los Altos Parkway. The area that you see here in blue is High Desert Drive and Vista Mountain Drive, that intersection. In that section, we'd be looking at a full patching, the complete surface being replaced. The streets that you're seeing outlined in red will utilize a method to address those larger singular wide cracks with a T-patching type method. So with this, you see Goodwin Road, Goodwin Court, Almonte Court, Talladega, and Talladega Court. And the second area included in this contract, we're calling the Mesa Meadows area. And the streets that are included are here in red. You see Mesa Meadows Drive, Del Sol Street, Montero Drive, and the courts in this area. And to further locate yourself towards the red of your screen is Sparks Boulevard, and towards the top is Los Altos Parkway. We advertised this project in February. We received 2 bidders, with Sierra Nevada Construction being the low bid at $268,000. It's $268,007. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Seeing none, looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to approve a construction contract AC-5833 in the amount of $268,007, no cents, with Sierra Nevada Construction for the 2022 Preventive Maintenance Patch Project, bid number 21/22-007, PWP, hashtag WA-2022-155. All for you, Pops.
Thank you very much. Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Bybee.
Aye.
Mr. Dare.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Thanks, Amber. 9.4, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of a new 5-year agreement, AC 5831, with Precision Document Imaging to upgrade the city's records management software. On Base by Highland to its premier enterprise licensing model in the amount of $468,557.68, and authorize the city manager to execute this agreement.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council, Russ Elder.
Russ, I haven't seen you before, so welcome.
Well, I just started 8 years ago. Still new.
I started 10 years ago, so where you been? Where you been my whole life?
I know. Your Systems Development Administrator for the record, here today seeking approval for a new 5-year agreement with Precision Document Imaging with an upgrade to the enterprise licensing model in the amount of $468,557.68. So to give a little background, we purchased OnBase, our records management system, about 5 years ago. And we were replacing multiple aging systems into one that could handle the city's growing needs. And at the time, we were placed on an a la carte style model, which means we would pay for only the modules that we wanted to use. And this worked well for us when we started because we were only using 13 out of the 38 that were available. However, as we've grown over the past 5 years and we've used the system more and more, we're now using 33 of the 41 that are available. So switching to an enterprise model as proposed in this new agreement, we would no longer be paying for the individual modules, but instead we'd pay an annual fee and we'd gain access to all the modules, as well as future updates and new versions that come out. And naturally, this comes at a discounted rate per module, so the cost will increase for us initially
However, long-term, it's going to save us a significant amount. Switching to the enterprise model also gives us the ability to have unlimited user licenses. Currently, we're limited to how many users can actually access the system at once. It requires some to have to log off, others to log on. So switching to having the ability to have unlimited user licenses will not only save us money in the future, since licensing is a cost that we incur currently, but it'll allow staff to be able to use the system more efficiently. And lastly, signing a 5-year agreement now will allow us to lock in pricing at only a 5 to 6% annual rate increase, which compared to a lot of other vendors that we've seen during this time is significantly lower than what the average is. And we can stay on our current model instead if we don't want to switch to enterprise. However, we'll just leave ourselves open for significant cost increases going forward. And we leave ourselves open for compatibility issues with our existing modules and any future ones that we decide to purchase. So with that said, I'm to answer any questions.
Questions from the council? Anybody on the phone?
Yeah, this is
Yes.
Christopher. And it's
Go
not
ahead.
just a question. I just think it's very wise. Think ahead, and I think that this gives us a good approach for future, and allows other people to use it. I think it's very good. Thanks.
Thank you.
Christopher
Has left the conference.
That was that. End of story. Is this the DocuSign stuff that we currently use? That I sign most of our documents on?
I believe that's one of the modules that,
Is it? Yes.
that OnBase has. Yeah.
I actually like that a lot.
That's great.
I mean, that saves me having to come sign a whole bunch of maps and documents after a meeting. But it's efficient and it gets the job done faster, and we have a digitized record of it. So
Is now in the conference.
thank you, Christopher, coming back. All right,
I'm back. My phone. I'm sorry. My phone.
Thank you.
Doing weird things. I'm
all
here.
right. Ms. Vanderwell, looking for a motion.
I move to approve the new 5-year agreement AC-5831 with Precision Document Imaging to upgrade the city's records management software OnBase by Highland to its premier enterprise licensing model in the amount of $468,557.68 and authorize the city manager to execute the contract.
Mr. Abbott,
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Bybee.
Aye.
Mr. Dare.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. I'll be seeing you in the hallway now. I'll bring you lunch. My new friend. As a matter of fact, I'll take you to lunch. That'll be better. You don't want me to make you lunch. All right, item 9.5, consideration, discussion, of possible acceptance of an offer to settle potential litigation regarding allegations of sewer backup at 7110 Powrod Drive in the amount of $127,372.04. Brendan.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Brandon Sendall, Senior Assistant City Attorney for the record. The item before you is it's the City Council's consideration of a settlement demand letter that was received by the City Attorney's Office. The law firm of Maddox, Sager, Bloom, and Canaba sent the demand letter, which outlines the sewer backup issue and demands about $127,000. Let me get it. $127,372.04 to settle the matter. That amount exceeds the city manager's settlement authority, so it's being presented here for your consideration today.
Okay, questions from the council? Questions from anyone on the phone?
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Anderson, go ahead.
Yeah, Brandon, out of that amount that's being requested, first off, I want to back up. So isn't this home located in the county itself and not actually within the city of Sparks?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, and out of that amount that's being requested, have we looked to see what the county has reimbursed the individuals that live there?
No, not at this point, no.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Abbott.
Has the city got any itemized bills for anything to add up to this 127,000?
There was a prior claim with the city's risk management committee where there were some bills associated with a demand for, it was about $58,000. But from the 58 to the 127, no.
Got you. Thank you.
I apologize.
And
Oops.
I'm sorry, I just want to verify, because I wasn't in that meeting. There were some bills for that.
There were, so
Okay,
Wes
for
Duncan
the
for the record.
58,000.
The claim that was presented by the Perez's had itemized damages, restoration costs, and also items that were damaged in the home.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Thank you. Has the city been able to review the homeowner's insurance to find out what is covered and what isn't covered on the homeowner's insurance?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the phone?
This is Christopher.
Christopher, go ahead.
I actually know that, so when all this happened, I did get to visit the home. I know Von Hartug went out there and the county isn't involved. I just am questioning, are we working with, are they involved in this conversation?
No, not at this point.
Restate the question, Brandon.
Can you restate the question, Councilman Dare?
Yes, I'm just wondering, is the county involved in this conversation that we're having, because it's in the county, as mentioned out by Paul, and I know that they were there, as I was when all this did happen.
No, not at this point. We received the settlement demand letter. It was, what date was it? It was February 22nd, so just a few weeks ago. We haven't been in contact with the county at all at this point.
Okay, any other questions from the council? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Who wants to take a stab at this one? Mr. Abbott.
I move to reject the offer to settle the potential litigation regarding allegations of sewage backup at 7110 Para Drive at this time and direct the city manager to investigate the claim damages to potentially bring a fully vetted settlement offer to the city council at a future date.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I apologize. I could not hear that motion very well. Could you possibly repeat it, since the mic must be by you?
Yeah, Mr. Abbott's going to repeat it for you.
I move to reject the offer to settle the potential litigation regarding allegations of sewage backup at 7110 Para Drive at this time and direct the city manager to investigate the claim damages to potentially bring a fully vetted settlement offer to the city council at a future date.
Okay, thank you very much.
De nada.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. So I got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson.
Aye.
Ms. Bybee.
Aye.
Mr. Dare.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. So, all right, let's move on to item 9.6, consideration, discussion, and possible approval of resolution number 3399 regarding a special improvement district to be located at 555 Highland Ranch Parkway, Sparks, Nevada, and approving a deposit and reimbursement agreement AC 5832 between the City of Sparks, Five Ridges Development, Inc., and QC LLC with an initial deposit of $150,000 towards city expenses associated with the formation of a future special assessment district. You did it to me, didn't you?
My apologies, Mr. Mayor. I had a little help from my friend, Mr. Duncan, at the end of the podium, though.
It always gets more wordy with the lawyers.
That was my fault, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lawson, members of the council. I'm John Martini, your Assistant City Manager, and I'm before you today for your consideration of Resolution 3399. This resolution will do two things. One, it'll approve a deposit and reimbursement agreement between the City of Sparks, Five Ridges Development Company, Inc., and QK LLC And the second part of the resolution authorizes the officers of the city to take all action necessary to effectuate the provisions of the resolution, which is a fancy lawyer speak for saying basically you're giving the officers of the city the permission to go forth and do the agreement. So
That sounded like Wes talking.
yeah, a little bit of background. On January 24th of this year, of course, the council approved Resolution 3396, which found a petition from Five Ridges Development Company of the public interest, and you gave direction to City Manager Kreutz to move forward with starting to get the all the work necessary to get the Special Improvement District formed. In order to get going down that road, the city's going to incur some costs, mainly with consultants out there, an assessment engineer, bond counsel, so forth and so on. So with that, our city's chief financial officer, Jeff Kronk, asked the developer for an initial deposit to cover those expenses, and the Five Ridges Development Company and QK LLC have agreed, and that is the agreement before you today. So what does the agreement say? It's very simplistic and straightforward. I'll cover the highlights of the agreement for you. The terms of the deposit can be found in sections 1 and 4 of the agreement. Basically, the developer agrees to put on deposit with the city $150,000 and further agrees that if that initial funding is not enough to get it all done, that Jeff can ask for more money and they will give it to us. And we agree, once we get the money on deposit, to put it in a special non-interest bearing account, which I think is the agenda item right after mine. The use of the funds are covered in Section 2 of the agreement, and the parties agree that the funds can only be used to pay for the city's direct expenses, meaning once we retain those consultants and start running the bill up, we can use the money for that. We can also cover our general administrative costs, so any staff time that is going forth can also come out of this money. Terms of the reimbursement, so money comes on deposit, then the agreement covers how the money can come back to the developer. It happens in two cases. In the event that the SID, the Special Improvement District, doesn't get off the ground or isn't formed, any of the money that's on deposit that hasn't been spent yet will be returned to the developer. And if the Special Improvement District is formed and the bonds go to market and the bonds are sold and we have bond proceeds, the developer, in this case Five Ridges, has the option to do a couple of things. I can direct the city to reimburse all the funds out of the bond proceeds, so however much money they put on deposit can come out of the bond proceeds and go back to the developer. The developer can also instruct the city to return any money that's still initially from that initial deposit back, or a combination thereof. So the developer is made whole for these expenses if the SID bonds are sold and we have proceeds, and if the SID does not get off the ground, we will return any monies left. Options before, or the alternatives before the council today, is you can approve the resolution, which in effect approves this deposit and reimbursement agreement. And you're probably wondering why we're doing this through a resolution. We typically just bring agreement straight forward. We have, Jeff and I, after the council meeting on the 24th, started working with some of our outside consultants, and it came as a recommendation that any proceedings with regard to this SID be done through resolution. That's why we have a resolution approving an agreement today. You can approve that resolution, which will approve the deposit agreement, or you can reject the resolution and provide direction to the city manager. And that concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you have. And it's really weird to present with empty seats. I'm not sure where to look.
Questions from the council? Questions from anyone on the phone?
On that when you're ready.
Mr. Dare?
I'm ready to make a motion if you're ready, sir.
Okay, let's make sure no one asks questions first. Okay, Mr. Dare, you're up.
I move to adopt resolution number 3400, establishing a debt service fund called the Special Improvement District Number 1 Fund to account for special assessment bonds to finance infrastructure improvements.
Hey, Christopher, you're on the wrong motion. We're on 9.6.
Oh, no. Well,
Yeah,
then somebody
but
else-
you sounded good.
I gotta look for it. I'll do the second one.
Okay, well, we're gonna switch up the motion and second then. Ms. Vanderwell.
I move to approve resolution number 3399 regarding a special improvement district to be located at 555 Highland Ranch Parkway, Sparks, Nevada, and approving a deposit and reimbursement agreement, AC. It just left. I didn't memorize it. AC-5832 between the City of Sparks, Five Ridges. Now, it's wrong one. Thank you.
9.6.
Thank you. Okay, is it up there again? Okay, so deposit and reimbursement agreement, AC-5832 between the City of Sparks, Five Ridges Development Company Incorporated, QK LLC, with an initial deposit of $150,000 towards city expenses associated with the formation of a future, it left again. Special Improvement District.
There you go.
Thank you.
You were right down the last three words. Okay, pardon me?
I second that. Sorry for the confusion.
Okay,
Okay,
we're good.
you got that now? You can switch it up. I got a motion, we're trying to keep up electronically with a verbal vote, which is a little more difficult. Diane at
I was
first and
first.
Christopher second.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Ms. Bybee?
Aye.
Mr. Dare?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to 9.7. Consideration, discussion, of possible approval of resolution number 3400, establishing a debt service fund called Special Improvement District Number 1 Fund to account for financial activities leading up to and including the possible issuance of special assessment bonds to finance infrastructure developments at the Five Ridges development located at 555 Highlands Ranch Parkway, Sparks, Nevada.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I'm Tiffany Pugh, County Manager for the record. This is
Hi.
also my first time.
Yes. Well, I guess we'll all have to go to lunch.
So my item that I'm coming before you relates to the previous with the approval of that deposit and reimbursement agreement. I'm here to ask for your consideration to approve a new fund to hold those monies, which we would call the Special Improvement District Number 1 Fund. This is in accordance with NRS Chapter 354, and it would be a debt service fund. So it would account for the deposit and reimbursement agreement and all financial matters relating to this, including possible bond issuances down the line. And with that, I can answer any questions you may have.
Questions from the council? Questions from anyone on the phone? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion. Mr. Dare,
Yes, you ready for that motion? Mr.
now we'll take your motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 3400, establishing a debt service fund called the Special Improvement District Number 1 Fund to account for special assessment bonds to finance infrastructure improvements at the Five Ridges development. Thank you.
Mr. Abbott,
Second.
got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote. Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Ms. Bybee?
Aye.
Mr. Dare?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Pretty painful, or painless. Sorry. That was a slip. Yeah. It's easy the first time. It gets harder. 9.8, consideration, discussion, and possible action on a request to direct the city manager to prepare changes to section 20.03.025 medical marijuana dispensary and any other applicable sections of Sparks Municipal Code to allow licensed medical marijuana dispensaries to open drive-through windows. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Jonathan Cummins from the city's planning division. I'm here today, as you said, to present a request for the city council to direct the city manager to initiate a code amendment to section 20.03.025 of the Sparks Municipal Code, and that is the section that regulates medical marijuana dispensaries. Specifically, this item is an opportunity to research the use of drive-through windows at marijuana dispensaries, a use that is currently prohibited. So, quick background for everyone. Medical marijuana was legalized statewide by Nevada voters in 2000, and it was in 2013 that it was established marijuana could be sold and distributed commercially in dispensaries. Updates to the Sparks zoning code have included regulations that govern these medical marijuana establishments. And to give you a quick picture of how the marijuana business functions in Sparks, there are 3 primary land uses associated with marijuana. 1 is cultivation facilities where marijuana is grown. 2 is production facilities where marijuana and its compounds such as oils and other extracts are used to produce edibles, medicinal products, as well as the plant itself is packaged and produced for sale as well. And then the 3rd category is the dispensary where customers and patients buy marijuana in a retail sort of environment. In 2017, the code was amended to incorporate more statewide changes enacted by voters on the 2016 ballot, which was to legalize the recreational sale, possession, and use of marijuana and related products. This meant that marijuana could be sold in dispensaries to customers who possess neither a medical marijuana card nor a prescription for the products. So our code contains a set of standards that are required to establish and operate a dispensary today. One of those restrictions is that drive-through windows are not permitted. In March 2021, Councilmember Abbott asked for the City Council to consider directing staff to initiate a code amendment that would remove that restriction. In June of 2021, staff presented that request, and the City Council decided at that time not to provide that direction. And so if we fast forward just a bit to this year, at the January 24th meeting of City Council, Councilmember Abbott requested that the City Manager present another opportunity for Council to initiate that amendment. So with that, this item before you today is that opportunity for Council to direct staff to initiate a possible code amendment to allow drive-through windows at marijuana dispensaries. So for the benefit of the council as well as for the public, what's before you today is not a request to amend the code right here and now. Rather, this is a request for an opportunity for council to direct staff to begin researching those potential changes. So at a future date, staff, having performed the necessary research and analysis, would bring back an item to the city council along with a recommendation from the planning commission for your consideration and possible action. The 2 alternatives before you here today obviously are to provide this direction to the city manager or not to. And staff has provided a recommended motion, and I'll be glad to take questions.
Questions from the council? Questions from anyone on the phone?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is Paul.
Go ahead, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. Jonathan, I just want to make sure that I understand. Curbside delivery is still available to the dispensaries in Sparks?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, please.
Yes, Councilman Anderson. Yes, that is still currently a possibility for marijuana and other businesses to perform curbside pickup services.
Okay, and again, I guess just kind of making sure I'm clear, this is just to approve you guys to start researching it and look into potential changes to the code. We're not actually directing you in any other way, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, and just for comment here, last time I voted against this because I didn't feel we really needed to make it any more convenient. Really, as I thought more about this, I do believe that safety is a concern here as we're having dispensary employees take product and money back and forth outside for these curbside deliveries. In my opinion, I would love to see the curbside deliveries go away if the facility is approved for a drive-through. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on the phone?
Yes, I have a question. Is that curbside delivery only in place because of emergency orders of things, or is that an approved use outside of emergency use?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Please.
To the best of my knowledge, Councilman Dare, the curbside use was implemented at a time when it was, as you said, due to the emergency circumstances of the last couple of years, yes.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Spivey? No? All right, anyone else? Okay, looking for a motion. Mr. Abbott.
I move to direct the city manager to prepare changes to section 20-03, 20.03.025, medical marijuana dispensary, and any other applicable sections of the Sparks Municipal Code to allow licensed medical marijuana dispensaries to operate drive-through windows.
Ms. Vanderwell.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none?
Yeah, I just have a quick discussion.
Mr. Dare.
I just want to say, I won't be voting for this, but part of my concern is that we still do not have things in place for DUIs when it comes to marijuana. And until we can be responsible at large, I have a hard time thinking, especially because emergency things will go away. And now we've created another way of putting something on the street right there. And there's no way to monitor or know how we're using that. So thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, I got a motion and a second. Please vote. Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Ms. Bybee?
Nay.
Mr. Dare?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 3-2 with Abbott, Anderson, and Vanderwell in favor. All right, you have your marching orders. Item 10, public hearing items, we don't have any. Item 11, planning and zoning public hearing items, we don't have any, which leads us to item 12, comments from the public. Anyone in the public wishing to speak at this time? Bill, did you fill out a card? Is this your first time here? Come on. So make sure he doesn't fall. Or could we take the mic up there? How about that? Down here? Okay. Watch him. He gets ahead of steam, he'll run you over.
That's what I was going to say.
You're like a linebacker.
For the record, my name is Bill Wagner. And my question to you folks is, I don't believe 1 second that the fire chief is the type of person that one gentleman mentioned here. I just don't believe it. He's a good man. The other day I called up to talk about something, and he wasn't there. He phoned me right away, answered my questions. So he's a good man. Question I have is, what does the fire department want? Do they want to have 4 firemen in the house or 3? I don't understand what they wanted.
I'll have you talk to the chief afterwards,
Okay, great, thank you.
or to the city manager.
What is city manager?
Yes, please.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks for always showing up.
Welcome.
Anyone else in the public wishing to speak at this time? We're down to only a couple of public. All right. Seeing none, we're going to move to announcements from the mayor, city council, and city manager. Mr. Manager,
Nothing from me, thank you.
anyone on the phone have anything?
Of course.
Thank you, Mr. Dare, for not letting me down.
Well, I just want to tell you, we're in DC, working hard and having some good conversations. But Bill, we just want to tell you straight from DC, hello.
Okay. Anyone else? Ms. Bybee?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just agreeing with Councilman Dare, we are here with over 2,000 delegates from across the country. We'll be meeting with both our senators tomorrow and Congressman Amadei on Wednesday. So we're doing your work and bringing back as much information, especially about ARPA funding and federal grants, and hopefully a lot of information we can use staff-wide and citywide when we come home. So sorry we weren't there today, but we will see you guys when we get back.
All right, Mr. Anderson?
No, I just want to say thanks for letting us join in by phone, and y'all have a wonderful day.
Yep, how's the weather in Salt Lake City?
Clear and beautiful. It was raining yesterday, but clear and beautiful today.
All right, well, hurry back home. Mr. Abbott? Ms.
Sparks, Nevada, nothing exciting.
Ms. Vanderwell. And just as a note, I will be in DC on March 28th for that meeting. And since I will be traveling, I am not going to try and call in. And so Ms. Bybee will be running the meeting on March 28th. All right. With that, we're moved to my favorite subject, adjournment. We are adjourned.